But just remember one thing, there's no story without conflict. If there's no conflict or challenge, there's no story. You have literally a description of events.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Coach Tribe. Today we have with us a very, very special guest. He is amazing. He has been doing incredible things. He knows some awesome things in the industry, and honestly, I cannot think of any better person to bring today with us to talk about. Alex, what are we going to talk about? Hello and welcome.
Hello, Anna. Thanks so much for having me. This is so much fun. I'm super excited. And today we're going to talk about the creator economy and how it's changing branding. And I honestly think it's changing advertisement forever. So really pumped about this conversation. Thanks for having me.
I am so pumped. And piece of advice for those listening, stick till the end because I really think this is going to be liquid gold. Like the amount of information that this person over here has and like quality information and the way we're going to tailor it exactly for the needs that you have. Honestly, like I am excited and I cannot wait to hear what you have to say, Alex.
Liquid gold. Let's get it.
Liquid gold. Why should people listen to us in case whatever I just said was not enough, Alex? What will they get out of it?
All right, look, if you are a coach, we're going to talk about creator branding and how creators get these crazy numbers of engagement, which brands can't seem to figure out. And then the other way around, like branding for creators. So if you're a creator and you're getting started and like building your audience, you might want to stick around and hear more about like how to build your brand on the long term. So those are the things that I think can be really valuable for you, whether that's you're trying to figure out how to make content. We'll talk about this, or if you're trying to figure out how to build your brand, we'll merge these two worlds.
Well, I'm sold. I'm convinced. I'm going to listen to them. Okay, cool. I'm thinking, let's set the context. Can you tell us more about, but like I've seen like a few words, how would you describe the creator economy and why is it important for coaches and creators to know about the whole movement, if you wish? Like, what is it and why do we need to know about it?
The creator economy is basically the whole industry and set of companies and individuals that have built their businesses around this single thing of creating content online. I think that's the way I think about it. Obviously, with all these things that are so new, there's no like definition set on stone. Everything's changing all the time. But the way I look into it is the creator economy is basically everyone involved in whether that's creating content, serving content creators, and building businesses around all of this and pushing. It's actually funny now because like we call it the creator economy, but I genuinely believe it's just the economy. It's the new way of doing advertisement online and communicating online, doing media online. So we can talk about this because I have very bold ideas on how what this will become in the next few years, which is already happening. But that's what, if you're making content or if you have any sort of like business online, you really want to understand what's going on and how advertisement is changing, in my opinion, to creator advertisement and content to get the most out of it.
What can I say? You said it fairly well, and just to put my thoughts into this, I'm thinking, listen, as coaches, we all need clients. That's the biggest challenge that most of coaches, probably of you who are listening, are facing. How do I get clients? Maybe initially it's like, how do I get the first few clients, but then it's always about scaling. Maybe it's how can I make passive income from my coaching business and so on and so forth. But the idea is that in order to get those clients, we need to put ourselves out there by producing content. So it's not just enough to put things out there. You know, Alex, we were talking earlier about thought leader content or to just, put something because it's nice to have. It's no longer the case. The content and the attention span of people is getting, smaller, and we need to create content that's more captivating, more engagement, and that will ultimately lead to us getting more clients. So, Alex, how do we do that? I'm getting straight to the point. How do we create that content that really manages to capture attention, to keep attention and then to direct it wherever we want it?
This is a big question. Let's just start with one thing, which is like you were saying, like why do you need to content on the first place? And I've been on the industry for like 15 plus years, working with brands and advertisement on tech specifically, running the Typeform brand. I was a creative director for the last 8 years, and then for the last two, running video ask and collaborating with a lot of different people on tech and media. There's one thing I've learned about branding, which is you can do like the most cool visual identity, and like your brand can look like crazy and like have the most like magnetic personality. That the reality is the only way people know like your brand, and the only way people get to feel something for your company before they even buy anything from you is actually through content. They don't find your website out of the blue. They'll probably find it through social media. You can push ads to these like strangers, but the way they'll engage with you, they'll check your social, the way they'll engage with you before they buy anything from you, it's going to be content. So the way I look into it, content is actually the only way to be healthy online, have like an online healthy reputation before someone is actually on a relationship with your business. So that's, to me, is the reason why like content is so important. Now, how do you actually make content in a way that someone is interested in watching it or consuming it, right? And this all comes from the traditional world of advertisement, which I feel like we're getting over it in a way, which I'm so happy about. Because I'm going to say this, I don't like advertisement. I hate advertisement. I don't like being interrupted when I'm trying to do something. I don't like people talking about themselves. I hate advertisement. I'm trying to like get rid of advertisement. I think we all are moving towards like, it's not the story towards like over advertisement to creator content. And the way that creators are engaging with their audiences, the way that there's a reason why creators are getting the numbers in terms of reach and engagement and retention that they're getting, and brands don't. I don't know, maybe Anna, or like anyone watching, like you probably heard, oh, Instagram doesn't like brands, or oh, because you have a brand profile, you don't get that much engagement. You've heard that before, Anna? You're right. So, like, how do you feel about this? Because honestly, I think it's just not true. I think if anything, Instagram, YouTube, they love brands. Like that's how they get their money. Like how are you gonna get money if it's not by advertisers, right? So Instagram, brands, like all these social platforms, they actually love brands. The reason why your brand or like personal brand is not getting the engagement you wish you would get is because you just don't know how to make content. And the reason why brands don't know how to make content at that scale of numbers and reach and all of that organically is because they don't treat content as the product. The reason why a creator has such good content is because their content is their product. If they don't have a good product, they're out of business, period. Brands have products and they think as content as their marketing. That's the main mistake. Your content should not be your marketing. Eventually, if it's good, will lead to like awareness, conversion, sales, whatever. But you should not think of your content as your marketing. Your content is another product you have out there as a media format, if that makes sense. And that's the main difference. And that's why creators have such good content, because they keep improving and optimizing, and like that's what they do. And so we all should be learning from creators on how to make content in ways people want to watch it, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. And I loved the analogy that you made. It's a bit mind-blowing in a sense, but it's also overwhelming, right? Because if you think about it, fair, this is the product, the main product of creators. You know, this is their work, the reels, the videos. This is what this is what their life revolves around, at least in this part of their life.
That's their business.
Yes. But what about coaches? These people are, usually experts in one domain, let's say career coaching, life coaching, business coaching, right? And they have to basically learn a whole new skill, isn't it? Like,
That's right.
It just has to be done, because otherwise the problem is that you might be out of business if you're not able to handle this. This is how vital this is, and this is how important it is for us to have you here, Alex. How can they somehow, mingle? How can they integrate this part of content creation in their business? You were talking about those learnings we can take from creators. Obviously, they cannot devote like the whole time around it because they still have to run their coaching business. How can they take those learnings, apply them, and make that business run smoothly?
I think the main challenge I see a lot of, let's say entrepreneurs, coaches, like any sort of like business person trying to like run a business and trying to like get that business discovered. The main challenge that I've always seen is like when they're starting to learn how to make content or understand content, they start by measuring the wrong things, which leads to frustration and demotivation and this overwhelming feeling that I'm just not good at this. But that's not that you're not good at this. It's that you're looking at the wrong things. I think there's 3 stages in the whole content creation journey. Stage number 1 is do it. It's actually like setting time regularly, whether that's an hour a week, 30 minutes every day, half a day a week, 3 days a week, whatever that much time you can or want allocate, do it. The second one is actually looking at the output. So how much content are you putting out? And the third one is actually results and optimization. So from the pieces that you're putting out, like what can you improve? And are you getting better? Are you getting more reach? You're getting more engagement? Your retention's getting better? All those things. The problem that I see is like every person, and like I'm like guilty of that, and you like we all guilty of that, right? We are all in like most of us, let's be honest, we're in stage 1. We're not even like trying to figure out how to make more content. We're actually trying to figure out how to make some content consistently. All right. So the problem is like a lot of people in that like stage 1 are measuring, some of them are measuring results. So you're still trying to figure out how to stay consistent putting out content, but you're measuring your reach, your followers, blah, 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 blah. That makes absolute no sense to me. It's like going to the gym and week 1 actually measuring how much are you lifting. You don't give a shit. You shouldn't care about that. You should tap yourself on the back just because you showed up. And if you get a personal trainer to help you get in shape, they're not going to be asking for you to run X number of, they're actually going to be like, just show, like say, hi, you show up, welcome, how you feeling, blah, blah. That's week 1. So might seem very obvious, but just showing up, just like saying, hey, you know what? I'm very busy, but I decide that I'll allocate, I don't know, 30 minutes every day, an hour every day, 2 hours a week on Tuesdays, right? That to me is like stage 1. Just do that. Show up, and you shouldn't care about how many pieces of content you put out. You should literally just show up. And then after a month, look back, be like, did you show up consistently those 2 hours that you said that you would show up on Tuesdays? And overall, after a month, like how much content did you publish? Did you publish at least 1 piece? If you did that, then you move to the next stage. Next stage is like, okay, can we repeat this for 3 months and at least get 3 pieces of content? And that's how you build up. It's a progression and it's a journey.
We jump into this and like, we expect to see those big numbers everyone is talking about. Where are my likes? Where is the reach? Where are my viral videos? And there is this right now common expectation that your content should perform like this. What is not visible is the whole process behind it. The hundreds of videos or thousands produced before, because you only see the results. And by you saying that, it was a reminder that, first of all, you have to focus on the process, and inevitably you're going to get to those results. But if you sabotage yourself, you don't give yourself a chance. So this mindset that you were talking about, thank you for the reminder. And we're starting to produce content, right? How can we best position ourselves to succeed? Should we maybe find creators to follow? Should we get a coach? How can we, start learning this if we know nothing about it?
Think about learning a new skill. I play piano, right? It took me like 6 years to play my favorite song in the piano. Now, there's what we're saying here is like every business should play the piano. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be the one playing, right? Like if you can afford it, maybe you can acquire those skills and you don't need to learn those skills. Learning will take time. You might be able to acquire those skills for your business, but you still want to have a big of an idea of because otherwise how are you going to know if it's good or not good? You know what I mean? So you still want to you said it very well. Look at what creators are doing. I follow Mr. Beast, I follow Eric. I'm not their target. I'm not interested, like generally interested in their content because it's not made for me. That's totally fine. But I follow all of them because I'm like analyzing them. I'm like studying them. I went to film school when I was like 18 years old and I was watching movies, like a lot of movies every week and a lot of different movies. That's how I actually learned how to like have a feeling for film and start identifying and recognizing patterns. And then obviously you need to make a lot of movies, like a lot of content. But that's the only way to learn, actually, like looking at that. And there's no like content creation school. So practice is the best way to actually get the ball rolling. Just like get going, like get started like making content. It's the best way actually to give it a go. And then I don't know, there's many ways, like people you can follow or like YouTube channels, but honestly, you need to consume a lot of content. And then if you're done half, you don't want to go through the whole thing of like learning how to make content, which I think is like very interesting. But I don't know, there's people who don't care about it. Okay, then acquire those skills. The one thing I'm very big on is that, and I can say that because I've been running a creative team for like 5 years, right, at Typeform. Before that, I was running creative teams for my own business, my studio that I had before. And so mark my words, creative teams in the next 3 years, 2 years are going to be very different from creators teams today. Just remember that. The skills that creators have are not in any other creative professional. And the ROI of those skills is so much higher, especially with things like AI and ChatGPT and like all these tools. It's a different world where it's taking us a bit to realize because everything's happening so fast, but it's a different world, requires different skills. And so I genuinely believe the next massive big creative director will not come from a design background or art direction background, will not come from a writing background, will not even come from a film background, will be a creator. One of the creators we see today will be next Nike's creative director or chief creative officer. And it is a matter of time. So start thinking, how can your team or your little like creative in-house, whatever person you have, or like couple per people or big team, incorporate those skills because you need them. Because if you don't have them, you're going to have to pay for attention. You will not be able to generate that attention organically, which is a massive opportunity. You're going to have to pay for attention. And then if you don't have those skills, you're going to pay for attention to push people into content that's not gonna perform. So you're gonna waste your money. That's the easiest way to waste money is to spend money on paid advertisement with creative assets that will never perform well because they're not designed for engagement. And by the way, it's 99% of like every single brand out there that's doing this.
If you out there are not convinced by why you need to start, getting into this content journey, because it is a journey that I don't know how better to say it. Alex, you just said it so well right now. Even if you have the money to spend on ads, first of all, they might not be as efficient if you actually don't know how to capture attention and do something with it, or if the whole funnel is not set in place. But going back to what you said, I think a very important thing to mention just before maybe we go into those creation tips is the mindset that you're here for the long term. So many coaches go into this thinking, they're going to smash it and that's it. But it's not. It's like always something to learn. It's like different ways to get your attention. Things are changing so fast out there, literally so fast that one thing that you learned is true, might be obsolete the next day. But you cannot stay, because if you stay, you don't move. If you don't move, you don't progress. So I think I just wanted to give this reminder of like the long-term mindset.
You need to understand that this is just an activity that needs to be part of your weekly routine, period. Like that, I'm very bold in that sense that I don't care if it's 30 minutes or 5 minutes every day, or like, I don't care how much time you want to allocate for that, or you can afford to allocate, whatever, that's your decision. But if you want to leverage this massive opportunity, you need to understand that this is an activity that's now part of your online life. And if you don't do it, you become a consumer. But that's not what you want. People they're not gonna discover you because you consume content. They're gonna discover you because you create content. Something that's very useful for like entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, is to understand that the reason why you do the things that you know it very well. If you're a coach, you're probably like teaching people something. You're helping them solve their problems. You're giving them your like outside perspective based on your experience, your knowledge, your industry insights. That's gonna help them figure out their problems and move forward and progress faster. If that's the case, there's many ways you can do this. One way is one-on-one calls. Another way is putting out a course or like a community or something like that. Content is just one more. Content is the product people pay with their attention, not their money. But you need to understand that in the attention economy, in the world that we live in, I say attention is the new oil. You just need to understand that that's still really important currency. Like in a world where content can turn you the president of the United States or a billionaire, like you need to understand that that's a really valuable form of currency, and you should build for that. And that's okay, because eventually you're going to turn that into dollars or euros, whatever currency you use, right? So that to me is the way I see it. If I'm getting paid with attention, and if I'm able to every other day get more attention with the same amount of hours because I'm getting good at generating that attention, eventually I'm going to be able to turn that attention into money. And guess what? Good news. It happens faster than you believe. You just need to understand that this is a skill that you need to foster. And I always say that because I get a lot of people saying, oh my God, what you're saying is like, you're so full of like you still like you still need to like do advertisement. Because I'm very well, I'm like, just forget about advertisement and do content, right? Learn how to make content. Stop doing ads. You're wasting your money. And people are like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, look, I'm not saying don't buy attention. You might need to buy attention at the beginning. I'm just saying don't do ads. Don't do traditional advertisement. Don't, by definition, an ad is a promotion of something. I'm saying buy attention, give something valuable so they like and trust you. Now they're going to be the ones looking for your stuff. But it's really challenging from a financial perspective, blah, 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 because we don't have ways to measure, blah, blah. It's a whole thing, right? But that's the idea. And one thing I'll say is there's this metaphor that I like share when I talk about this, is the difference between buying a house or renting a house, or buying an apartment, renting an apartment. Both options are valid, but would you stick to one for the whole time or your entire life and just do one? I don't know. I think the wise approach is to pick one or the other based on your context and circumstances. For example, if you're 18 or 16 or 17 years old and like you're trying to like move out from your parents, it's very likely that you're not going to have money to buy an apartment. So your best option is probably to rent and start building your net worth to eventually be able to start buying a house or apartment, whatever. That's the best option for you. It gives you the possibility to move out immediately, no strings attached, and then you can live anywhere you want. And there's no risk, like anything you can, like maybe you can risk like a couple of months of rent, but that's it. You're not risking like hundreds of thousands of dollars. On the flip side, when you're buying a house, there's like a lot of risk at the beginning, a lot of investment. If you've never done that before, it's scary, it takes time, it's draining, it's super risky, and you're putting a lot on down the line. Why do people do that? Because they do it with the idea that at some point farther down the line, they will stop paying for rent. And even better, this property, this investment will pay them back. We might give them money. That's the difference, in my opinion, between paid ads and organic content. There's no better than the others, two options. And as a business owner or coach, whatever, you need to see what's the best for you. But in my view, the ideal scenario is that you build your skills, you put in the time, and on the meantime, you maybe buy attention, but you put the skills to get the most of the attention you buy by providing good engagement and retention and creating a community and blah, blah, blah. And then eventually you reach to a point where like you've created enough of like a brand that attention is there and you don't need to buy that much on regular basis. So you, instead of having a business expense on the marketing, blah, 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 on the marketing budget, and it's like, this is an expense for advertisement, you have to pay every week regardless. The idea is like you start like balancing this out, and you pay less on a paid advertisement. You buy less attention because you're able to generate that organically, and then that's like good ROI for your business.
The Code Tribe podcast is powered by Pensight. I want to take this opportunity to tell you more about Pensight and how much value it can provide you and your coaching business.
Pensight is an all-in-one platform for coaches and educators that enables you to quickly and easily build a highly credible page and sell your knowledge with one-to-one sessions, group coaching, courses, Q&As, digital products, and bundles. Payments, scheduling, video calling, client communications, and everything else is taken care of.
All it takes is 5 minutes to set up, and it's free. It's the smartest way to kickstart your coaching business. Sign up to Pensight today at pensight.com.
Every single creator brand that I've worked or like collaborated with, I ask them this question, because that's like something it took me a while to like realize. And every creator brand that I've worked with, I ask them, do you do paid ads? And they always say yes, but they always say, but it's not really working that well for us. We do it because it's like a good, like stable, like attention that we get. So we don't rely 100% on organic, but it's not really working as much as we'd like to. And the reason is because you're so used to like getting all of this attention for free that when you get this and you have to pay for it, it's not that, it will never perform as well. Because the other one's free. But that's the idea. And like, honestly, like every creator brand I talked to gave me the same answer. And I'm like, well, that's interesting because like you say, it's complementary. Like you might be able to, like, maybe if you don't communicate one thing, you don't have time maybe to be like all of that, right? And so maybe you can buy that attention, but still creator skills like attention generation, retention, optimization, all of those things are going to be very useful for you to get the most money of your paid ads, which by the way are getting more and more expensive and less effective every time, because it's just like nature of like there's like a limited, it's capped, like there's more business buying ads and like the number of people watching ads like the same.
So if you have been listening to this, one note to write down is, first of all, attention is the new currency. And then that you have to, whether you want or not, my belief, I think Alex's belief, is that it's inevitable that you will have to learn those content creation skills. And fair, maybe you don't want to learn everything by yourself and you're going to get freelancers or a team around you, but you still need to understand it, as Alex was saying. What is this about? Because the more you understand, the more you can make with it. Now, Alex, we gave, we set the context. Now people understand what and why. But let's go into the how. And we're going to go into, let's say, 5-10 minutes of tips that I'm going to try to extract from you, as many as I can, as valuable as I can. And we're going to talk about what are some, lessons that you learned from creators and from your creator journey about how to make content that captures attention, retains attention, how to engage. And I have something in my mind, but I'll let you say first. Maybe what's something that comes first?
You need to train your eye, and you need to watch the Mr. Beast, like whoever's on top. And in this case, like the Mr. Beast, the Erax, the like all these people, like all these crazy creators that are getting all these crazy numbers. Now you need to train your eye. That's the first more practical piece of advice that I can give. The other thing is like acquire those skills. You don't want to do it. Acquire those skills. Reconsider when hiring your team to make your marketing. Is a designer the first hire you need to hire? Or is it you can still do that with templates and Canva and like Squarespace? And maybe you want to get a creator that's harder to like replace with like templates or software for now. That's the next thing, the very pragmatical next thing that I would encourage. Because maybe if you get a smart enough creator, they might be able to pull out something in terms of design. They might be, and by the way, I'm saying this and I've been running the Typeform brand, which is a design-driven brand. So just for context, okay? I'm not saying design has no value. I'm just saying engagement is way much more of a valuable skill today than graphic design, in my opinion. Or at least it's more accessible. Graphic design is more accessible than content creation. So those are 2 tips. Learn from creators, acquire those skills, or at least learn how to do it. And then when it comes to more like tactical stuff, I think just forget about what you want and who you are and just focus exclusively on who is going to consume this content and why. How can they get the most out of it? And that's very easy to say. It's way harder to implement with stupid things like this light that I have here right now. Like, is this actually adding any value to you watching? You can see my face, but could I've done better with like maybe this light here? Maybe. So these are the type of things that they're a journey, and you need to decide where your like boundaries are. But those are the type of decisions that, am I doing this for myself and my ego and look good and look perfect and build my reputation, or am I actually doing this to serve someone? And those little details, like, do I really need to do these intros like, hey, I'm Alex Antolino and I've been doing this, that, and that nobody cares about? Or can I actually just jump onto the mean? It's like, hey, this is the reason why you actually gonna make so much more money if you work with a creator than traditional advertisement. Because then if they're interested, they'll find you. People are smart. They know how to use Google and go to websites, right? So this is my belief.
This was such a good point to highlight. It is true. It's like, get maybe, customers or friends or people who don't know you to actually tell you what they think about their content. But literally, like, honest review, you can read the mom test. It's very useful. But,
by the way, love the mom test. Great book. I actually made a little like ebook of it with the author. So it's like really, really nice book.
And short, by the way. So it's not going to take a lot of time.
Simple, very simple.
Super efficient. And again, this Alex, thank you for putting it out there, trying to think from the perspective of the one who consumes content. I feel like it's already a game changer. Now, Alex, we have just a bit of time left and so much to take out of you. But one thing I have in mind and I want to ask you about is, I know you're a big believer that, more and more right now brands should act as creators. And I know a big component in this and also in the effectiveness of content is storytelling. Can you tell us more about storytelling when it comes to content, and what are the things we should know about, and why is it so important?
It's very simple. By the way, I have to say storytelling is massive. I'm starting to believe that it's actually super good for long form, and then for short form, things like challenges or like skits or stuff that are less story, like less heavy on story, but more on like surprise and like delight and stuff like that, work well for short. Story works well for long form. Obviously, both work well for the other, but this is just one idea that I literally started thinking right now. But besides that, story is very simple. I wanted to do that and it was very important, but something got in the way, and this got in the way could be something external or my own insecurities, but I was too scared to do it. Then something happened and then I work, and then I did it. Let's celebrate. Yay. And then the moment you get it, you get out of it quickly as you can. You chop it, no call to action, no follow me, the fuck out of there quick. That's, in my opinion, storytelling in 30 seconds. I want something. Oh my God, this is going to be so hard. Wait a minute. Let me try blah, 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 blah. Oh my God, we did it. End of story. It's as simple as that. And I'm going to say one thing. We live in a world where story is so on your face. It's so fast. It's so easy to learn storytelling today because they will tell you. When I studied film, I never understood storytelling. It was so complex because I was trying to learn storytelling from freaking James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, freaking Kubrick, all these movie directors that their stories are so intricate. They last for 3 hours. I'm like, oh, how am I supposed to learn storytelling? But today you have freaking Mr. Beast. Within the first 30 seconds, he'll be like, well, today we're going to crush a bus and then it's going to be very challenging, but we'll find a way and then we'll go to a hotel. He'll literally narrate the whole story. So it's very easy. If you look at every intro of these massive creators, they are telling you the whole story. So it's very simple to learn storytelling today. And it's as simple as the formula that I told you.
And it just made me think, those, maybe most of you might not know, but if you are on TikTok, and also it started on Instagram too, I've seen those, stories where you have the footage, for example, what my day looks like. And then there is a person talking, on top of it, like the voiceover. That's also a story. That's also a story. Yeah.
For a story to exist, there needs to be a conflict. So here's the difference. And I think that's going to be very valuable for all of you listening, watching, whatever. If you make a little video, you can literally, like Anna says, record through your day with your phone, and then at night put a voiceover. Like there's like a lot of free apps, like even like TikTok natively can do that, right? But just remember one thing, there's no story without conflict. If there's no conflict or challenge, there's no story. You have literally a description of events. Story needs a conflict. So if you make a video being like, well, I woke up in the morning and had a cup of matcha, and then I go to my office, and then I work, and then I go to see my boyfriend, and then blah, 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 and then I go to bed, and it was a great day. That's not a story. That's a narration of the events that happen on your day. But if you do the same thing, it's like, so I woke up in the morning and like started to make a matcha, but the coffee machine was not working. So I had to go and buy a matcha, but then it was freaking raining. And then it ruined my laptop. And so I had to go to Apple Store. Now we have a story. Might be more or less interesting, but that's a story. So if you can figure out what the challenge, and the challenge could be like, I wanted to make a meeting presentation, but I was freaking out. So I had to go take a moment, have a deep breath. That's a story. So it doesn't need to be like big on things. It can be like very small. Just make it challenging for you when you're going through your day. And I'm going to share one final like example or case study, which might be very inspirational for you and just happened last week. And I think it's very useful for me to share it. And maybe that's a good way to wrap up, which is I've been sharing content on my Instagram, my YouTube about like all these things, like how to be more like a creator. How can you get your brand or your personal brand to behave more like a creator? How can you engage with your audience, with your content more like a creator? And one of the things that like you said, Anna, I share a lot is like try to tell stories. So I've got Carla, she's one of my followers, and she was talking about her content and we were on the DMs. She's saying, oh, I wish I could, like, I'm like, what's your struggle? And she's like, I wish I got more reach. And so I look at her Instagram, like on the reels, right? You can see the views. And she's like, she has 4,000 followers, but she's getting like 200, 300, 400, 150 on average, all these views, right? Per video, which is not much considering her size for like following size. So I'm like, have you tried stories? She's like, actually I haven't. And I forgot about this. And so like literally like last week, like 4 days ago or something, she's like, Antolino, I need to say thank you so much because look at my reach. So she starts sharing like all this like screenshots. She went from like 200, 300 views per video to like she told that story 1.5 views. Next one, she told another story 14,000 views. The next one 15,000 views. I'm not good at maths, but that's a lot of X's. So that's the power of story. And what I love about this example is that she's not a massive creator, and she didn't change anything. The only thing she changed was instead of giving a tip or an advice, talking to the camera like we're doing, she was like, let me tell you a story of this guy who actually made $1 million in like a year. And you're like, wait, what? It triggers so many questions that you're like, you want to hear it. It's human nature. We communicate with stories. So she changed that. Same lighting, same camera, same setup, same everything, same length of the video. It was the same thing. Just changed the package of the idea. Her ideas were great. She was delivering in a way that was not resonating. She changed the packaging with stories, and she's like not even triple. It's like that. Is that 10x? It's way more than 10x. She went from like 300 to like 15,000. So I don't know the maths, but that's a lot. I want that for my brand, and I want that for your brand. So consider trying that.
What can I say? Can we know maybe her account just so that people?
Oh yeah, 100% will give her a shout out. It's how do I do this? Let me see, Carla, because that's the beauty of content. Everything is out there, so you can like actually go and see the views and the content she did.
That's what I'm saying, because if it's not clear for you, like what did Carla change, you can literally go and like look at the content that didn't perform well before, look at the content that performs now, and try to spot the differences. How did she change that? What changed?
So it's Carla with K, Maciel Co with double S. Hope that you got that. Like, follow her, she's great. And it's in Spanish, so I don't know about your Spanish skills. But you can see you can see the format, even if you don't understand the language. You can see the format, you can see the views, and that's all matters.
And honestly, this is a great lesson to exactly as you were saying, wrap this up. Even if, okay, fair, Carla's content is Spanish, you can still notice some things, but you can find other creators, maybe have 5, 10K followers or even more, and just crawl a bit back. You might be surprised to see that not long ago they had fewer views, and try to notice what changed from the moment, when their content started performing. So this is a really good lesson.
Yo, just look at my stuff. Going to my YouTube at Alex Antolino and go into my shorts and look at the last 10 shorts. Every time it's my face like this, talking head, blah, 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 blah. No one gives a shit. Because I'm nobody, right? So my views are like 300, 500, like 1,000. And so that's it. It's out there at Alex Antolino. And so if you go to the shorts, you'll see it. There's just 2 that went over 3,000. And guess what? There are stories of like that time that I went like give a talk at Melbourne with Chris Do or whatever, right? So people want to see that stuff. And you can see like, it's just so easy. It's just so obvious that I would recommend that you at least give it a go. And it's as easy as like I said, I wanted to do this, but something got in the way and it was challenging. But hey, I put in the work and I did it. And people listen to it.
Alex, let me tell you something. Look at me.
I'm looking at you.
You are someone. You are
incredible.
You are incredible. You are amazing at what you're doing. Hello, he just said you also had a talk with Chris Dobb. What? He has 900K followers. Like, you don't get, to this things if you're not good yourself. So a big congrats for you, Alex. And a big thank you. And I wish I could, keep taking that info from you because it's so good. It was liquid gold. I hope that everyone took something out of it. If not, I cannot wait to re-listen to this episode. And Alex, tell us more. Where can we follow you? Why should we follow you? What's going on in your life? What can we learn?
You can. So here's the thing. First of all, Anna, thank you for your great words. You're so kind. I'm just doing my best to help people be relevant online. That's all I care about, especially like small companies that can change quickly and can get so much out of it. Like big companies, like there's so much politics involved, but you can change, you can pivot quickly like Carla did. And that's all I care about. And so I'm like trying to help you do that. And so for me to hear that like you're getting so much value out of this, like that's all I care about. That's why I show up like 9 p.m. at night or whatever. And so that's why I care about this. So I'm so glad that this was useful. And if you want more of this type of stuff, you can find me on YouTube. Like that's my priority. Like this year, I'm gonna posting like 1 video per week. It's all about this. It's all about like how to like you'll learn how to like engage like a creator, and you'll have like interviews with creators. You'll have like a lot of tips and like creator skills, creator engagement tactics. So check it out on YouTube at Alex Antolino. And DM me on Instagram at Antolino, and we have a chat. Like if you want to talk to me, just DM me. I see every single message, and we'll connect.
So you heard the man. Go follow him if this was interesting, useful, and I bet it was since you are you listened to this so far. Go.
Yeah, you're here. You made it. I mean, like, kudos to you. So, like, that next step is just like, let's have a coffee, right? So that's it.
Exactly. Go follow him, learn from him, and yeah. Well, Alex, once more, thank you so much, and thank you to our dear listeners for sticking till the end. And any last words?
Just thank you. Just thank you. I said attention is a super important currency. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, listeners. And see you for the next episode. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Hope you enjoyed this episode.
We'll be releasing every Wednesday, so make sure to
subscribe
and rate us 5 stars where you're listening to this show to give others a chance to discover it too.